everyone to the second webinar of the webinar series that we are organizing by the Explorer Society of the Faculty of Healthcare Sciences. First of all, on the verge of becoming an intraplanetary species at the moment, I think we should take some time to think about how it all started and where it all started and how we evolved into becoming a species that spread across the entire planet. So to talk about that, I think Dr. Kanagasingam Arunidhi is the most suitable person for this, and he is the consultant cardiologist at the Teaching Hospital Batticaloa, also a member of the Science Navigators organization. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Arunidhi. Sir, you can start.
Good evening, everybody. I think you all can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. All right. Can you all see my slides?
Yes, sir.
You can see. Okay, fine. So today's topic is human migration from their origin. So the path on the earth. This is a topic few may be familiar because I had a talk few years back, almost same. Please excuse if I'm repeating. And there'll be a few busy slides also. There'll be a few video clips. And if you don't hear or any clarity, you just tell me on the mic and tell me. So, why we are so interested in our history? The innate question of human species now and then, also will be in the future, is actually who we are and where we came from. Also, where are we going to go? These questions emerge the interest of history as well as spirituality. Now, the core science is creeping in this field with a definite and accurate answers. Before starting, I like to we all better to see some geological and environmental events which occurred in the past on the Earth. This is a busy slide. I just want you to concentrate on the right side first. You can see this slide says the age of the Earth starting from 650 million years ago and up to now. When you see 600 million years ago, they are the origin of creatures starting from skeletal elements to evolution of humans. When you see humans, we started only 20 million years ago. So 650 million years ago, all animals started. We never know all these animals. However, we have their genetic with us. Actually, we are those animals. We are those animals. Now we are like humans and other animals. At the same time, you can see this left side, the environmental events occurred in the last column was Ice Age. You can see the Ice Age and normal time has come in cycles. And last Ice Age ended, sorry, last Ice Age ended 10,000 years ago. So almost we are very close to Ice Age. We just ended one Ice Age. That is 10,000 years ago. All matters when we see our history. When we see our continents, so you all know that the continents we live in the earth now was separate. However, some time back, like in 200 million years, 200 million years ago, they were all together. They were all together. And see, I just want you to concentrate on the Indian plate and probably Sri Lanka is somewhere here. Yeah. So when with time it moved up, break away and moved away. And you see after 100 before 120 million years ago, the North America and Eurasia got separated. We were with Antarctica, Australia, and somehow closer to Africa as well as Madagascar. So this made us, we are not belong to Asia. Our Indian plate is not belong to Asia. We are belongs to close to Antarctica. Do we have any evidence to say that we were close to Antarctica? Of course, there are not strong, but of course there are evidence, even in our country. Then you know the Indian plate, how it moved up with the Sri Lanka. It moved up and collided with the Asian plate, and in the colliding area, it created a mountain called Everest. Okay. So what are the evidence that we were closer to very closer, cooler climate? There are some, people who have been to northern plains. You all may have witnessed the forest called cloud forest. The scientists say this cloud forest is an ancient forest which belongs to cooler climate close to Antarctica. When our plate moved up towards north, all died off, and some survived in a very cooler climate. Of course, it's not very cooler now, closer to northern plates. What about Lemuria? You may heard about Lemuria, that big land mass occupied between India, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, and Australia. Actually, there's no geographic or geological evidence to say there was a landmass as such. So that all Lemuria name came because of the lemurs. Lemurs are present in Sri Lanka, India, and Madagascar, not in Africa. Scientists say once the evolution of the gorillas, they started destroying lemurs, so they only survived in Madagascar. They all died off in Africa. That's the reason. So it is the Lemuria is a myth. That is what scientists say. Now we'll come to evolution of our own species, human. We started with Australopithecus. You know, a lot of people, a lot of apes. Actually, we also ape, even though we call human, we are apes. Australopithecus, Homo habilis erectus, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and Homo sapiens. So we evolved over the years in Africa. What are the evidence? All fossil evidence was there. And if you can, I think you can watch a small YouTube clip, which is actually 15 minutes, I think.
So if it's possible, it would be really nice if you could give a narration or else an explanation about what's happening.
Thank you for watching that, actually. So we now concentrated. Can you hear now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks. Now we are concentrating on Homo erectus. Why we concentrating this species of our ancestor? He's a forerunner of a modern man, lived on Earth almost 2 million years. Our Homo sapiens are living just 200,000 years old. They lived 2 million years old, but all perished for unknown reason. Even that means even after 2 million years, they couldn't understand the Earth and its climate. The last person died out about 25,000 years ago. They originated in Africa, also migrated 2 million years ago to all over Africa and Asia, and including Sri Lanka. Some says the beloved man belongs to this group. However, some says they belong to Australoids, the Homo sapiens. Another prominent group is Neanderthal. Neanderthal was not all of the world. They were originated in Europe, and they buried their dead and had abstract thinking, and we were not evolved from them, because the average genetic material we found in modern man is only 1.3%. Homo sapiens and Neanderthal probably lived together in same period. However, they died off because they happened to live with the Homo sapiens who were outsmart them in all living and environmental conditions. So what is origin of modern man? They evolved in East Africa between 200,000 to 160,000 years ago, had developed large brain and power of speech. How do we know? The old fossil evidence says that. So this is the place where our ancient ancestors originated and lived. Homo river at Ethiopia. This is East African Rift Valley. This is the place. This is the river. This is where this is the place, the oldest skull of a modern human found, the mother of all. It's called mother of all new human, modern human actually. This is a video clip of a BBC, but I don't know whether it's too much for you all, or video clip. We'll skip that. Small clip. The skull she was showing is the mother of all of us. All the mitochondrial DNA of modern man stem from one woman who is postulated to have lived 200,000 years ago. So, if I say that we all originated from, if scientists say actually, originated from Africa, why we differ in appearance? It's due to the environment. If an African man now migrated to Scandinavia, in 20,000 years, after the 20,000 years, he will be a Scandinavian. He will be white man with no traces of African origin. And old face, small eyes, big nose, gray, brown hair, tall, short, everything all due to environment. So what they say is, race is only a skin deep. All of us came from Africa. Inside, we are all Africans. This is a reconstructed face of mother of all of us, is by Stephen Oppenheimer. So who is mitochondrial? We call her as a mitochondrial Eve. If humanity is a tree, she stemmed from here, and all human beings lived at present on the earth are in this branch. That means all of us have daughters and sons. So what are the modern tools for investigate this? For sure is genetic. Of course, I have mentioned astrophysics. I will come later. So it's a time to see some detail about our cell. Human cell contains cell membrane, nucleus, and mitochondria. It's an intracellular powerhouse. Nucleus contains, all of you know, the chromosomes. We have 23 pairs, 46 chromosomes. We get 23 from mother, 23 from father. The one pair is a sex chromosome where you get X and Y chromosomes. Whoever get Y chromosomes will be a male. Whoever don't get Y chromosomes will be a female. So the Y chromosome we get from father, we don't get from mother. The Y chromosome we get from father is very ancient one because it's come through a father's line. My father's father, father's father, and his father and forefather had the same Y chromosome. It will be passed on. So genes, chromosomes contains DNA. DNA contains genes, which is the information material about ourselves, our phenotype. So inheritance, if you say nuclear, no DNA other than sex chromosomes, we get mixed with the father and mother. So at the moment, what we have is a mixture of a lot of people. You can see this, sorry, you can see this picture in the left side. It's a mixture of everybody in our ancestors we get. But when you get mitochondrial DNA, that means mitochondria is, as I told you, intracellular structure, which also contains DNA, genetic material, and all mitochondria we have, whether you are a female or male, is from your mother. It's not your father. So whatever the mitochondrial genetic information or genetic material, it came all the way from your grandmother or great grandmother. So we got some Y chromosome from our forefathers and mitochondrial DNA is from mother's line. So that these two tools have helped scientists to decode our path, where we came from. So Y chromosome and mitochondrial DNA, if you put in this, can you see this? Great grandmother had a mitochondrial DNA. It passed on great grandmother, and your father. It has gone to. It will not come to you. Actually, this is mitochondria. Yeah, sorry, this is mitochondria. Grandmother. Sorry, mitochondria has come through this red color, and it comes to your sister as well as you. But Y chromosome material, great grandfather and great grandfather, father, and so all these lines are specific and like what the mitochondrial DNA. All other genetic materials are mixed. So we use this genetic material, which are unique from our father's line and mother's line, to decode our path from first mother, our first father. What is genetic markers? So major mutation occurring in 20 to 50 generation. That means 500 to 1200 years, you get one mutation. This pass on to the rest of the generation used as genetic markers. However, these are harmless. These are just bystanders. How do they pass on? Let me explain to you. Like in a paper, if your great grandfathers put a signature, that he passed the paper on to his grandfather, he put the signature below that. Your father put the signature below that, and you put the signature below that. So now the paper is with you. You can see whoever has signed on the paper, the part you came from. It is like the mutation. So your genetic material has all the signatures of your great grandfathers who has signed on your genetic material. So scientists were able to decode that and see where do you came from, which part you came from. Likewise, mother, mitochondrial DNA has a signature of your great grandmother and your mother as well. It's in an order. So of course, we are not strange to mutation. This is a mutation created in Hollywood. Of course, everybody knows this. So what we call the father of all men, the scientists identify the first signature of your genetic gene is they named the mutation as P305. He called as Adam, everybody's father. And mother of all had a mutation called LO. She called as Eve. Of course, they were not couples. They lived in different time and different place in Africa. The story of our people who went out of Africa. So how do they came out of Africa? How long we lived? So 200,000 years ago, modern man originated. For 100,000 years, we were living in Africa. We never came out. Of course, we were trying hard to come out. Africa, Africa was bordered north of the Sahara, and all other places were by sea. We were not able to move out. Some people went. During the Ice Age, the desert become bigger. When the climate changes, the desert gets some vegetation as well. A few groups of people went through Sahara 125,000 years ago, and of course they reached Israel. But due to the climate change, the desert started to expand because of the Ice Age. Then all died out. They couldn't move away. So who were the pioneers who move out of Africa by the genetic material? Those genetic markers, the people who moved out was having a genetic marker of M168. From P3 or 305, there's another mutation occurred, M168. They are the people moved out of Africa. And nobody else. Whoever living out of Africa now have this M168 mutation. Me, you, and everybody. With that, there's a female L3 mutation also went with them. All female living, all people living outside Africa now had a L3 mutation in the mitochondria. So how did they go? So as I told you, this is desert, and they were able to move around 100,000 years ago, 100 or 75, 100,000. Accurate date not known around that time. With the Ice Age, this gate of grief, this called gate of grief in a Red Sea, became very closer and only few meters deep, and it's with of around 20 miles, around 20 miles. They were able to cross, probably by boat or something. They were able to cross to Arabian Peninsula. Then they were able to move away. So out of Africa happened a handful of people decided to go out of Africa and colonize Arabian Peninsula about 55,000, 50,000 years ago. All had a genetic marker in Y chromosome called M168, and some of them started walking along the coast. So once they reached Africa, some have started walking along the coast all the way to Sri Lanka, India, Sri Lanka, and even to Australia. At the time, because of the ice age, the sea bridges, sea across these islands was short and were able to crossable. They walked along. They called beachcombers. They reached all these places within thousands years, very soon, very close. And some stayed in Arabian Peninsula. So these people who walked along the coast developed another mutation. It's called M130. This is called oh yeah. These are the people called Australites. Australite, you must be familiar. Even we can see nowadays the first people who moved out of Africa and came out to Sri Lanka also. So just to concentrate on this orange colors, you can see this is the place of origin, East Africa. 168, this is a mutation. They moved out to Africa and started walking along the coast, and they went up to America. These people called beachcombers. They had a mutation 130. They went to Australia as well. Is there any people living in with this only mutation? Yes, definitely they are living. Who are they? They call Proto-Australoids. They carried the mutation called M130. This is called South Asian coastal marker. They populate South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Australia. They reached India around 50,000 years before now, before present year. In India and Sri Lanka, they flourished almost 20,000 without interruption. India and Sri Lanka at that time was rainforest with lot of resources. So they lived without any problem. And some says, as I told you earlier, belonged man belongs to this group. However, their language was Munda. They probably had a religion. The divisions now of these people are Australian Aborigines, Austroasiatics, Vedoids, the people who lived here, Vedas, Malays, Melanesians, and Polynesians, all belong to this group. They are the people who walked out from Africa first, and they walked out from Arabia. And in India, there were groups in South India with this marker, and this person called Virumandi and his relatives and families, all this is the 130 markers in South India. They identified recently. And all when this marker or when with M2 mitochondrial female. So they all had M2 mitochondrial genetic markers also. So now we better to concentrate on our country and Sri Lanka. You know why? How do they have come to Sri Lanka? Parks, right? So before ending last ice age 10,000 years ago, India and Sri Lanka was at one landmass. And you know, you can see this, the landmass extending outside. There could be cities from here, and there could be cities here. They were probably, this is the one Kumarikandam, and of course this is not big as talking, as now everybody's talking. It's not big, it's small, of course. So everybody, the beachcombers just walk across to Sri Lanka, India and Sri Lanka without any interruption. And again, they walk out as well. So this is, you can see, this is the P305 genetic mutation from M42, then M68, then P13143 and M30. These new mutations, these are coming now. They actually, the studies, genetic studies have not done in a big population. 1 million population, they did in National Geography did 1 million population and completed. If we do genetic mutation markers in whole population of the earth, there will be very interesting and very accurate stories. These people, these markers, 130 mutation now living in this, it's a heat map. Australia, a lot of people are living, and all these places now they are living, even in all India, and we must have a lot as well. Then there's a marker called Middle Eastern marker. So the people who crossed Africa to Arabia developed another marker after some time. Some moved upwards without walking along the coast, called M89. That is called the Middle Eastern marker. So Euro-Asian clan, that is M9, appeared on M9. There are few people on M89 develop another marker called M9. They moved to southern part of the Central Asia, and about 35,000 years ago, people with M9 markers to three directions. They went three directions. One, M45 genetic marker. They penetrated into the Central Asia. The marker with M75 went to China. This has happened after 20 years of first migration. The third group went to India again. Those called ancestral Dravidians. They call them Dravidians because the language they spoke was Dravidian. That's the reason. There's no politics in this, of course. Once again, you want to see again. This 168 moved again. They developed a M. This is a yellow color. You can see 45,000 years. M89. This group, when this group developed M9 mutation. They went into the direction west, the east, and divided into three groups. Some went up, some went to China, and some went to India again after 20,000 years of first migration. Who are they? So in China, these 35,000 years ago, Proto-Australoid with M30 met East Eurasians with M175, the Mongolite. So we all know that 130 mutation, they already went here. They were living in China as well. Once again, they met their ancestors in China. They mixed together. So what happened in India? Ancestral Dravidian with M20, the group came down. It's the next larger wave of migration to India. They encounter with cousins, that means astroloids, with a marker of M130 was brutal. It appears to be a brutal. M20 was improved culture with the powerful people, and probably they marginalize the previous, their forefathers. They probably don't know who were they. Actually, they were the relatives who came a bit earlier. Nowadays, the genetic marker, M20 genetic marker, is present 50% of the South Indians and 15 to 20% in North Indians. Situation in Sri Lanka is not known, but could be the same. So, the genetic marker of first Australoids are very less in our current population because probably they have been chased away. That is what they were not able to mix with the male. There's another. There are a lot of groups afterward. There are a lot of small groups came to India. I said there's M9. There's one group went up, that is M45 to the Central Asia. From there, small groups came again. There's one particular group is M24, 124. They came to India, to Indus Valley and Ganges also. They migrated in Sri Lanka. We have few population. It happened about 25,000 years after migration of M20. From the origin was M45 to 07 and M124. Present northern South Indian population all have 124 also, some population, and also in Sri Lanka. I'm particularly, this is because I am belongs to this group. That's the reason. Okay, populating Europe. We'll see how they populated the Europe. At 30,000 years ago, populating Europe from M89, this is the group Middle Eastern martyr. Middle Eastern martyr, then M9 came. It started from here, this light blue. Later on, they went to Europe, everywhere. At that time, the Neanderthals were living. Probably the meeting was not very cordial, I suppose, because the genetic marker was not mixed, and scientists say Neanderthal was not beautiful, they were ugly. So modern human was not happy to mix with them. That's the reason we have only 1.3% mutation, genetic material of Neanderthal at present. So after this happened 30,000 years ago, and there was small migration all over the place, and once the genetic studies came out, we'll be knowing better than that. Another major big migration to our India and Sri Lanka was 10,000 years ago. That is from the Fertile Crescent, that's in Iraq. You can see Tigris, Euphrates and Tigris River, Mesopotamia, where the population group called Proto-Dravidians, they had a genetic marker M172. They came to India. They came in two groups. So one went came through the coastal area. One went into the inland. They were a bit advanced and civilized. They were the people who were responsible for the developing Indus Valley civilization and Ganges. They came from, why they called Proto-Dravidians, they came from a place called Elam. Familiar name, of course, this is the place, Elam at present now. So they came from here, and they were the people who are responsible for the Indus Valley, which is very advanced civilization at that time. Probably even now, it is better than ours, probably. That is what they say. The Indus Valley civilization got a lot of things. The cities were well planned, cities laid out in grid. Cities probably house over 100,000 people, many smaller towns also in the area, brick wall and wells, and there were no big buildings like kings, or there were no worshipping place, like they were they were kind of different socialist society. Religion was polytheistic. Sorry, I don't know about this. This is actually many gods. not a single god. There were emblems found in Harappa. This is like what do you call Nadaraja, like, and this is Pasupati, and this is a meditating man. This is Linga, and one more interesting emblem found is this. This is actually what he called the story we say is what he called the crow and uh, fox, and the grandma making vadai. The story actually came from Hindus only. They found the emblem similar to that story. So another important population group was rice man. Rice man, who had a genetic marker of 120 to M122. It appears in the M175 chromosome around 10,000 years ago, and rice cultivation started around 9,000 years ago in China. The people, after the appearance of M122, the rice cultivation started. So they call rice man. It spread extensively after that, the mutation. So they are the people who cultivated rice, and around 10,000 years ago, we left our hunter-gathering lifestyle to a sedentary, making cities and living together. All, even Indus Valley and China, all happened same time. So this is how the rice man went. You can see in 75 from this M9 group, then M22. That happened in pink color. You can see 10,000 years ago. Right? Those people who created rice. So you must be interested in knowing this Indo-Aryans. Actually, Indo-Aryans are very late people. They were originated from, of course, from our forefathers, 168, and East European origin. Actually, they 10,000 years ago. At present, the highest southern Russia had a Indo-Aryans migration people. That is M17 genetic marker. 45 in India, 45 of them in Punjab and Gujarat. In India, the highest frequency among Brahmins. South India has 11%. Of course, they were talking in Dravidian language, but actually they were from Indo-Aryan migration. Now, the people who talk Dravidian language and Indo-Aryan language were not really the people who belonged to. They were all interchanged and mixed and everything. So don't fight on that. So in summary, the pre-colonial migration to Sri Lanka. We are interested in our country. First, the Australoids, who came early coastal migrants with a genetic marker of M130, that is 55,000, around 55,000 years ago. And then ancestral Dravidians with a marker of M20, that is around 30,000 years ago. Then pre-Aryan migrant and the small groups like M124, M9, that is around 25,000 years ago. Then Proto-Dravidians with a marker of 172, that is 10,000 years. Those are the people who are responsible in Indus Valley, Ganges, and everything. All civilization they were belongs to. Then Indo-Aryans came with a marker of M117, sorry, not 117, just 17, 3,000 years ago before present. And also there are phenotypical evidence and linguistic archaeological evidence also matching. As I told, the Balanguda man, also we have a unique Sri Lankan man who lived in Balanguda caves. He could be a part of first astroloid who isolated inside and lived. Or he could be a Homo erectus, like that. So this is the summary of all migration. You can see the pink is the latest migration. In America, these people went again with the M3 in the South America. Of course, these are the migration pre-colonial. Now the migration is other way around. You can see the all flying the aeroplanes. Then must be complicated in future. At the same time, you can see I was talking about the bichromosome all this time because for the convenience, it's almost mitochondrial also complement with that. The particular mitochondrial also same. They follow the same, almost same path at the same time. So, as I told you, this National Geography did a genographic project. They collected 1 million population genetic study, and they have the data. Even now, you can do your genetic material and send and see where are you came from, which belongs to. Of course, you are from Africa. That is the important thing to remember. So, what is this? With the but then once you do your genetic material, you will be fine that you have a lot of relations. This is if you are this person. If I can tell you, this is actually me. I have a Abraham Lincoln is distant related to my mother, and Napoleon, I think it is. Yeah. Is distant relative from my father. So if you do, and if our whole population is being done, the genetic marker, you will be have the relation, everybody will be your relation. But the matter is there will be a bit distance. Some are bit distance from you, some are close. That is what it is, nothing else. So once you done every whole population, it will be filled by me and you will be in somewhere in the graph. Of course, we all must be very close, not 12,000 years ago. We will be probably 500 or 200 or 300 or maybe 100,000, maybe 100 years. That is what our ancestors in Tamil, I don't know, you can understand in English also. In Pronanuru, he has correctly mentioned that Yadumure Yavarum Kali. So in the English translation is to us, all towns are one because we walk through all the towns in the world and all men our kin. Everybody is our relatives. So what will be the future in the genetic? It's how can in the history, how will be the future? This some philosophical, it's my thought only. They probably decode DNA information in more precise way. We all know our genetic DNA and environment interacts. Though somebody can decode that and will be see the environment you lived, your ancestors lived more precisely, very close. And also in future there will be a interlink of information with the help of quantum computers and coming up. So you will get very sophisticated information and connectivity. Of course, you can see the past through capturing an ancient light if possible. You know what I mean. Ancient light is in the universe. Whatever the lights if reflect on us, it's in the universe. You can capture it and see what has happened. If possible, it can happen in the future. Of course, with the use of time machine, you can see. Go and see. So, thank you for listening. Any question I can answer? I think you are here.
Yes, sir, you were very clear. So now is the time for anyone. If you're having any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can switch on your mic and directly ask.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Sir, I would like to know more about this genealogical project and more about the genetical markers. Since I was a kid, I was interested in all this genetic stuff and also evolution. And also, I have another doubt for you, sir. since our country, not only our country, but in most of the countries in most of the South Asian countries, has a very high influence through culture and through religion. Teaching these subjects and making people convinced about the real origins of humans has been a real challenge to us. And people just keep denying this because of cultural influences. So yes, eventually people are turning around and just understanding the real world and all this stuff. But what could be your suggestion to kids or to the new education system which could teach us more?
Yeah, nothing. Teach only the truth. That's it. Teach your children the truth.
Yes, sir. And of course, where can I find more information about these genetic markers, sir?
It's all over the internet. Actually, you can just Google it, and you can get your genetic marker done through some agent. Actually, that the National Geographic project has been closed now. They wanted to do 1 million population. They have done it and they have closed it. But for commercial purpose, I think you can find some internet links, and if you register and pay, they will send gadget the box where you have to give your buccal mucosa and send back and they will decode your, they will analyze your DNA, and they will email you, or you can log into the net and see the path.
Thanks a lot, sir.
If you have any other questions, you can put it in the chat or even ask it in our WhatsApp group. I'll be happy to read it out.
And no questions means whether it's difficult or too easy or non-topic or more difficult topic to comprehend. Is it clear actually?
It was very informative as well. So as the time is also running out,
Okay.
I think if there's any other questions coming, we'll surely direct it to you. So today's session was really interesting and informative, and thank you very much for that. And I hope that we all will have a time to reflect on ourselves after this lecture, after this session, that we all are actually descendants from the same group of humans already, and we are, after all, just a single species. So with that message in your mind, I think it's time for us to wrap up today's session. So another message for you before ending. So we have changed our schedule from once a week to once another week. So once in 2 weeks, we will be having a session like this. So be ready. So not the next week, the week after, we will definitely be having another session with you with another interesting topic that we will be bringing to you. So until then, thank you very much for joining and taking your time in this regard. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and thank you for staying with us. Beish, appreciate your presence and appreciate your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.